Probably due for one. Let me just mute that. Thought I was probably due for a stream. There's been so much happening in the world of Australian politics, Victorian politics, and almost all of it's been coronavirus related. I'm not that interested in like commenting on kind of coronavirusy stuff. It changes so quickly, and it's very difficult to have like an informed opinion on the sort of things that are happening. Instead, what I'd like to do today is go through the Liberal Party of Victoria's website. Michael O'Brien, of course, being the current opposition leader and head of the Liberal Party in Victoria. I want to go through their plan to get Victoria back to work and back in business, which is just a beautiful little title there. Very weird that like Frydenberg, Hunt, T, like these are all feds pretty much as far as I know. Excuse me. Oh yeah, because it's the federal ministry, of course. Like it's so weird, The Victorian. There we go. This is what I expected to see. Well done on the graphics. Also, this isn't actually what I want to look at today. But let's like David Davis, leader of the opposition legislative council, leader of the Liberal Party in the Legislative Council, Shadow Minister for Public Transport Metropolitan, Shadow Minister for Transport Infrastructure, Shadow Minister for Equality, Shadow Minister for Federal State Relations, Shadow Minister for Priority Precincts, Shadow Minister for the Arts, Member for the Southern Metropolitan. Like, how do you have this much time that you've got like 8 portfolios that you're in charge of? Like, credit to David Davis, man, because holy shit. Georgia Crozier coming in, I reckon, second there with the second most things. And come on, Ed, pick up your game, mate. You're only the Shadow Attorney General. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. All right. But what I actually wanted to look at, rather than the makeup of the LNP in Victoria, or the makeup of the Liberal Party specifically in Victoria, was their getting back to business plan. I have got a bit of a time restriction today, so there's only so much I'm going to do. I had a very quick look through here just to kind of see what's going on. But let's look at the plan. And I also want to go through this little survey here uh, just to see what they've got on offer. Straight away, I noticed that it's a Liberal and National platform as well. They've got the Nationals leader and the Liberal leader. So they're running on a joint platform, like a joint plan, I guess, which is kind of weird. I guess that normally happens. Not sure, but I also love how at the bottom of every page they've got this green line, like the 99% of the page, Liberal colours, blue, right? This one green line. The Nationals, we're here too. What should I do first? Let's maybe go through this quiz first. Uh, bushfires, COVID, back to work plan, blah, blah, blah. Have your say on how the COVID response has affected you here. Let's go through this. Have you or someone in your family lost their job as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic? No. Have you or someone in your family lost shifts or income as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic? It's like kinda. So without getting too personally, was it like a small downturn at work that was very quickly replaced by JobKeeper, and so I actually kind of made more money overall. Let's say that I have lost shifts in income because I did at the start, and I work in logistics. Do you need more support from the state government through lower household bills to help with the cost of living pressures? What a like loaded question, man. Do you want lower household bills? Do you? Or are you happy? Are you happy with higher bills? Well, like, do I need more support? Probably not. I'm lucky in the sense like my work's fairly stable. I have a decent income. But yeah, sure, I would love lower household bills to reduce the cost of living. Have you or anyone you experienced additional mental health issues during the COVID-19 pandemic? Yeah, I think that's living in Melbourne. Probably most people have. Please rank these in order of which concern you the most. Tick NA if not appropriate. Worried about finances? No, not appropriate for me. So that can. It can't drop. Wait. What? Okay, so you needed to type in. Okay. Worried about mental health. loved ones. Like, these are so vague. I'm not worried about too much right now. Yeah, right now I'm not. Like, is this for right now? Because right now I'm worried about nothing at all. Like, nothing. Not worried about a job. Not worried about other things. I am worried about my loved ones. They are older. So, would you like, or are you planning to buy a new house in the next 2 years? Possibly in the next 2 years. Sure. Will you be more likely to buy a Victorian or Australian made post COVID? No. Like, uh, probably yes to Australian made. How do I phrase this? It's less so for me about like the manufacturing process, which country was this product made in, and more for me about like, am I supporting a local business or a business that is Australian by purchasing this product? So, for example, am I more likely to order something off Amazon or pay an extra $10 to go to like the physical store of JB Hi-Fi or whatever? I'm probably more likely to go to JB Hi-Fi. I know there's not like a massive distinction between the two things, um, but I would rather support industries that have like casual workers rather than Amazon, which uses an Uber style system of deliveries, where you're like an independent contractor and blah, blah, blah. Do you think Victoria should be more self sufficient when it comes to manufacturing strategic and vital supplies? Like, I'm not sure because I don't know how self sufficient we are. Again, a very loaded question. Like, should we, this obviously really good thing, should we do that? Yeah, okay, let's say that we should, because of course we should. We should be mostly self sufficient when we're manufacturing strategic and vital supplies. Yes, we should. Do you rely on the hospitality or tourism industry for your employment? No, I don't. Would travel and dining vouchers make you more likely to eat out and participate in hospitality and tourism activities? Yes, of course. Like, again, such a dumb question. Like, oh, would all this free stuff make you more likely to do things? Yeah, of course it would. Thinking about upcoming holidays, if you live in the Melbourne region, will you choose holiday and travel in country Victoria, or will you look to travel interstate? This is a bit of a difficult one, actually. A couple of weeks ago, probably before Christmas, I would have said interstate was most likely. However, having seen the way that borders just rammed shut, probably intrastate, internal in Victoria, is the most likely thing that I would do. Maybe Tasmania, something like that. Having said that, though, I'm not likely to holiday for a while either. So, um, yeah, probably more likely country Victoria. The thing is, as well, when I think about like a holiday, if I was to go on a holiday interstate, I would probably go for like a week, 2 weeks, right? Whereas if I was to go to country Victoria, that's more of like a weekend sort of thing. Thinking about upcoming holidays, if you live in country Victoria, not applicable to me. Have you been impacted by cancellation and or delays to elective surgery or IVF? No. Do you have children? No. Not applicable. I don't have school-age children, and not applicable. I don't have young children. Small business. I am not a small business owner. Please skip to next page. Is there anything else you would want to share regarding the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic on our community, or any ideas or suggestions you have to support Victoria's recovery post-19? So, okay, post-COVID-19. What I would love, and I'm so glad they asked this, is I would love for the LNP in Victoria to work constructively. I've just got this. It's not a new keyboard, but it's a keyboard that I pulled out of the cupboard that I haven't used in forever, and it's freaking enormous compared to the other one I use. So excuse me if I make some spelling mistakes. I'd love for the LNP in Victoria to work constructively with the Andrews government. Make sure we dot our I's and cross our T's. No, I can't do that. To provide the best possible outcomes for all Victorians. This is much preferred to the sort of snidey, snipey a word? Snide and snipey comments that we have come to expect from, do I address them by their full titles? Let's just say by the opposition leader and the member for Q. That would be Tim Smith in particular. I mean, I do want to give my contact details, but not live on stream. Oh, yeah. What a dickhead. Yeah, thanks, mate. Wait, Andrews is his surname? True. Yeah, the Andrews government, not the Andrew government. Why does it do a double? It doesn't register the first apostrophe, and then it definitely registers the second one. Let's just done it. Nah, you gotta. It's all right. I'll cut this out of the YouTube video. I'll cut this out of the YouTube video so that all my fucking addresses and shit. Got a lot to learn, young Padawan. Oh, Lord. There we go. All right, send me. Yeah, I will delete the bot as well. What an idiot! Turns out I need a separate browser just for. What an idiot! Holy shit! I don't want to go away, Survey Monkey. All right, on to the main show. The plan for getting Victoria back to work and back in business. Our plan number one, secure your family finances. Rebuild opportunity for local businesses. Invest in health and education and support our local communities. Fuck yeah. Love it. Love that from the LNP. Let's do it. I'm not going to read all of this stuff. Like, literally no one does either. I'm telling you now, if you ever read these like reports, if you're ever watching the news or reading the newspaper and you hear like, oh, the Liberals have a new document out, this is their plan, this is what gets read. Like probably up to here. Maybe here. About that much of this gets read, and then they go to like the next page, and this is the things they will report on. Oh, we're going to create jobs. We're going to make more youth jobs. We're going to do this, blah, blah. No one reads this. No one reads this. I'd be interested as well what this looks like now in like mid-January as opposed to kind of September. I might be wrong. It's hard to remember now when everything happened. I feel like the end of September was like the end of kind of coronavirus or the end of the coronavirus restrictions in Victoria. I feel like that's when they started to relax a bit. So I'd be very interested to see what this looks like now, particularly considering New South Wales just had border closures and blah, blah, blah. Let's skip all this. We'll just go straight into securing your family finances. So no new taxes. It's so interesting to me the way that they frame this stuff because it's like, no new taxes. Who can disagree with that? Like, who wakes up in the morning and they're like, God, I hope the next government brings in new taxes. That's what I'm looking for in my elected head of state. Like, it's just it's the stupidest, it's just the most say nothing. And they even say here, oh, the Andrews government introduced a bunch of new taxes and they said they wouldn't do it, but you can trust us not to. Like, come on. Real action to reduce household bills. Correct me if I'm wrong. That was Tony Abbott's like real action. That was Tony Abbott's like campaign slogan for ages. Real action. Yeah, there we go. Abbott's real action campaign. Like, what the hell? This is like this is federal liberal politics from 10 years ago as like one of the main platforms of the Victorian Liberal Party. That's just bizarre to me. Okay. Real action to reduce household bills. Freeze all local government rates until middle of 2022 with funding support from the Andrews government. So I think what they're saying there is we're going to stop council rates from increasing and that the Victorian state government will have to like cover the difference. Like, so straight away, point one, point two, no new taxes, and also the state is going to take over all the increases in local government expenditure for the next year and a half. Like, those two things do not align. Like, you have to fund that somehow. Channeling only the most popular PMs. That's right. Like Michael O'Brien, look at this guy, man. Let's look at this guy. Does this guy not look like he looks like he wishes he was Tony Abbott? He looks Tony Abbott, you know, say what you will about him. He's a handsome devil. Michael O'Brien is not a handsome devil, okay? A one-off increase to the energy concession to $1,000 per household until 1st January 2022. The energy concession. Okay. Dale Cooper looking ass. I don't even know who that is. I'm not sure I need to know. The annual electricity concession gives you a 17.5% discount on your household electricity usage and service. I guess that's if you, yeah, okay. So if you have a concession card, the Liberals want to pay the first $1,000 of your energy bill. Am I reading that right? Which seems like an extraordinary amount of money. I can't imagine who would spend like $1,000 a year on energy. Maybe like families with, let's say there was like 5 in a household, maybe they'd spend like $1,000 a year. That does seem like an extraordinary amount of money. But anyway, work with the federal government to provide affordable childcare. So ironic that one of the main platforms of the Labor Party at the federal level is to provide free childcare, and the Liberal Party's like, yeah, we need that, love that, particularly to every woman who is offered work, so that every parent and particularly woman who is offered work is able to accept it. That is literally a mainstream Labor Party ideology right there. Love it. Implement the Liberal Nationals' zero to landfill plan to create a new low emissions baseload energy supply for Victoria. Let's have a very quick look at that. This is what I hate about political documents. They're like, oh, we're going to do this thing that we said ages ago. And you just have to go look at it. Investing in energy from waste facilities and upgrading recycling technology. The Liberal Nationals will eliminate household waste going to landfill by 2035. So my understanding of this sort of thing, I believe they do this in like some Scandinavian countries. I think they do it in like Japan, and I'm sure they do it elsewhere. Basically, all the stuff that would ordinarily go to landfill, they burn it, and they use like the heat from it or whatever they use to like create energy. I don't know if that's a good idea or not. Maybe it's like a lesser evil than just having massive landfill dumps. I don't really know. It's probably something I could get on board with. I'd have to look into that a little more. Immediately remove the current moratorium on conventional onshore natural gas, which is fracking, and fast track the development of new natural gas production. So, yeah, bring in fracking. They want that for Victoria. I mean, like, in all honesty, Victoria doesn't like mines. They don't like fracking. They don't like that sort of thing. That policy plays super well in like Queensland. I don't believe that that's going to win them any votes in Victoria. Not one vote. Freeze all household water and sewage charges until 30 June 2022. If I'm reading that right, it means no water or sewage bills until mid 2022, if I'm reading that right. Scrap the 60% increase to the landfill levy. I don't know what that is. Um, what is this? Wait. So, what this seems to be is like when the council takes a bunch of rubbish to the tip, they have to pay like X, whatever, 4.45 fee units per ton, like whatever, right? You got to pay per ton of rubbish that you dump. And the Liberals like, we don't like that policy actually. Like, let's scrap the increase to that. Like, so we don't want we don't want rubbish going to landfill. Also, we're going to make it cheaper to send all your rubbish to landfill. Like, what is this policy? What is this? Okay. I can't make it like, is this a serious policy document? Oh my god. Okay. Freeze all toll road charges with Transurban and Connect East until 30 June 2022. So I think Connect East is like the Eastern Freeway system. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I'm not sure like who this benefits. Freeze all toll road charges. I don't know if I'm reading that as we're going to cap them so they don't increase, or if they're saying you don't have to pay them. This sort of stuff has fairly big benefits to like businesses that are in logistics, that sort of thing. So I can see the benefit to that. Having said that, like if the difference between your business succeeding and failing is that you're paying toll roads, either don't take the tolls or your business is not sustainable anyway. Um, yeah. Freeze all metro and V line public transport fares until 2022. This must just mean cap them so they can't increase. There's no way that they're saying free public transport until mid 22. There's no way they're saying that. Free public transport for school and university students until 1st January 2022. There you go. So give school and university students a free year of public transport and we'll cap it so that, because normally they go up every year or something like that. Which, like, whatever. Cool. Get more people on the train. I like it. Probably not a good time to be increasing public transport fees, so I'm probably on board with that policy. Waive rego for commercial vehicles granted because of restrictions and allow private vehicle registrations to be paused for up to 12 months. For the commercial vehicles, I think that's great. If you, because of government restrictions, and that's the key word, because of government restrictions, you are not able to operate your business, which let's say is commercial vehicles, driving things to and fro, doing whatever. Why should you have to pay the government fees, which is registration, to keep that vehicle? So I think that's a good idea. Allowing private vehicle registrations to be paused for up to 12 months. I don't know exactly what that means. I don't know if they mean that like you can just defer payment for a year or not pay for a year. I'm not really sure what they mean by that. But you know, rego's expensive, so letting people not pay that right now is probably a good idea, probably a good thing. Half price rego to all P plate drivers. I don't know why. That seems to have just come out of nowhere, really. I guess because P plate drivers, if you're on your P plates, you're probably on like a lower income level, just by virtue of the fact that you're just entering the workforce and so on. So, putting extra money in P plate drivers' hands, probably a good idea. So, like overall, step one in the plan for personal financial security is not terrible. There's a few things in there that like are a bit odd. Don't know why you would be like, oh, we're having a slight downturn, or it's not even slight, let's be fair. We're having a downturn because of coronavirus. Let's bring in fracking. That's the answer. No to that. A lot of this other stuff is probably pretty good, like making it so that concession card holders have cheaper power bills, waiving registration for commercial vehicles and so on. like not a bad plan. The thing is that it lacks an ongoing vision for the future of Victoria. And what it does is it addresses immediate problems. Maybe that's what we need right now. But then they bring in these other things like fracking, like, getting rid of the landfill levy, um, and moving towards the zero to landfill plan. So they do have a couple of things sprinkled in there, but by and large, this is a like solutions for now program. Let's talk about rebuilding opportunity for local businesses. Get the employment rate back to pre-COVID-19 levels. So I love that, like, step one of this plan, just create 380,000 new jobs. How are you going to do that, guys? You can't just say, I'm going to make, 300, 400,000 jobs. I'm just going to click, there they are. So obviously what that requires is like heavy government spending, heavy government infrastructure spending, programs, all sorts of things that does not, you can't have no new taxes and 400,000 new jobs and free childcare and this and that, government increases to, councils, we're waiving all registration. Like, you just can't do that. It's not possible. Labor must commit to restoring the 143,000 jobs young Victorians have lost. Sure. Deliver 57,000 apprenticeship and traineeship commencements. Yeah. Expand pre-apprenticeship programs. Always a good thing. Promote greater participation of women in trades. Hell yeah. Free TAFE should be extended to people who have previously accessed free TAFE but now need to retrain in a different industry where demand and opportunity exists. Hell yeah. That's sweet. Sick policy. Expand free trade to make all training free for occupations experiencing skill shortages in Victoria. Hell yeah. Man, the Liberal Party walking in and being like, free TAFE for everyone. Everyone's getting retrained. Everyone's getting reskilled. Clear the backlog of TAFE students waiting to complete work placement or practical assessments to demonstrate competency. Man, what a ripper. I would be surprised. Let's look it up. Victorian Liberal Party, free TAFE opposition. I bet they opposed it. Let's see. This is from 2018. Blah, blah, blah. Making TAFE courses free has the potential to decimate adult education providers and goes against the advice of Labor's own vet funding review, which found it would result in over-enrollment in some areas of provision. This is the Shadow Minister for Training Skills and Apprenticeships, Steph Ryan, from the Liberal Party, just before the Victorian Labor Party took free TAFE as an election promise to the Victorian people. Like, these guys, man, they've literally just like looked at it and gone, that's a good idea. We should have come up with that. And then gone, actually, step 2 of our plan, everyone's getting free TAFE. That's what's happening. Everyone's getting free TAFE and everyone's getting it all the time. Cut employment taxes and charges for businesses. We want the payroll tax threshold raised so that the first $10 million of payroll you don't pay tax on until June 22. I don't know what the current level is at. This is only going to affect small businesses, and anything that makes small businesses' lives easier right now, I'm down for. Fees and charges for businesses, business licensing fees. Yeah, let's just not raise stuff on businesses. I'm cool. Place a moratorium on the employer levy under the long service leave portability scheme. What does that mean? Employer levy, long service leave. Portable long service leave. What is this? I don't know what this is. Uh, it's a fee to business. I don't know if this is a good thing or not. I can't work that out right now. Let's take that as a question on notice. Bring manufacturing home to Victoria. Under successive Labor governments over the last 20 years, the number of manufacturing jobs in Victoria has fallen by more than 50,000. So in Victoria, we've had Ted Baillieu and Dennis Napthine as the premiers in my lifetime, as well as Jeff Kennett. On the Labor end, we've had like Steve Bracks, John Brumby, and Daniel Andrews. Like, it's a 50-50 split. You can't just you can't say like under the Labor government over the last 20 years, like I think all right, let's look it up. Liberal premiers Victoria. Like, how are you just gonna say, oh, it's here we go. Okay. So of the last 20 years, I guess we're going from 2020 or from the year 2000. So Jeff Kennett leaves in 2000. We've got Labor for around 10 years. We've got the Liberals for around 6 years, or 4 years rather. And then we've got Labor for the next 6 years or so, right? So a quarter of the time that he's complaining about, the Liberals have been in charge for a full quarter of that time. Just what a joke. Under successive Labor governments. Like, there was not successive Labor governments. There was literally a Liberal government in the middle of that. Okay. Establish a $1 billion bringing manufacturing home fund to encourage manufacturers to locate their facilities in Victoria. Like, okay, in principle, a really good idea, but what does that fund actually entail? If all that means is like, oh, we're just going to pay you, we're going to let you not pay taxes to move your warehouses here and your distributions here, blah, 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 that's not a good idea. That's not. If they're like, hey, if you bring your factory here, we're going to pay a bucket load of money to train your employees and do all this cool stuff, hell yeah, good idea. So again, it's the same as like, it's the same as I create 380,000 new jobs. You can't just say, oh, here's $1 billion. What does that actually mean? Is the much more important question. What does that $1 billion entail? Prioritize support for industries of national importance such as PPE manufacturing, medical research, defense procurement, pharmaceuticals, and rare earths processing. All good ideas. All of those things are good ideas. Do they need to happen specifically in Victoria as opposed to like taking place in Adelaide? Or probably not. Having said that, there's a competitive tender with most of this stuff. And if we can have it made here, all the better. Invest in a Victorian-made marketing campaign to showcase the quality and benefits of locally produced goods and services. Like, again, probably a good idea, but when I'm at the checkout, I don't know what's made in Victoria. It says made in Australia on there, sure, but I don't know what's made in Victoria. I don't know what's made in Queensland. I don't know what's made in Western Australia. So unless I can differentiate that, what's the point? There's really no point. Strengthen the economic base by diversifying our import base so that we're not dependent on any single country for more than 15% of our good imports. Like, okay, so what they're basically saying here is we don't want to be dependent on China for every single one of our imports. Good idea. Now, if it cost us 80% more to diversify our import base, is that actually a better thing? Not sure. Develop an international student recommencement plan to return international students to study in Victoria. Like, yeah, that's a good idea, but the federal government is the one that's in control of international borders. It's not up to Victoria to allow internationals to return. Support increased commercialization between research institutions and industry. Maybe a good idea. What we don't want is our research institutions to be solely driven by the profit motive. What we want them to do is work in the public interest. Now, if they are able to fund public interest research through commercial deals with industry, great. But primarily they need to be focused on the public interest. $100 million science and technology innovation grants for new opportunities. Yeah, cool. Reintroduce innovation vouchers for Victorian businesses and new innovations to take advantage of productivity. Okay. So make productivity good again. Improved access to seed funding for startups. Like, I think the thing with startups is like, if 1 in 100 works, I don't know that you want to have 99 people with like massive government debt. Maybe you do want to incentivize startups. I'm not really sure. Expand Global Victoria, whatever that means. They've like given it capital letters indicating that it's some sort of noun. Global Victoria is a thing. It's an agency of the Victorian government. Okay. A global network of 23 trade and investment offices. Yeah, so just sell more stuff. Cool. Best representation in ongoing negotiations for the Australia UK Free Trade Agreement. So, like, most of that's probably okay. Again, diversifying our import base, maybe. Discount local government rates and permit fees for small businesses until blah, 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 with funding from the Victorian government. So, again, increase government spending, lower the cost to households and businesses that they have to pay to local councils, Victorian government to make up the rest. Probably all right, I guess. But again, this is not a document that says we're fiscally conservative. That's not what this is. Onerous turnover caps for small construction companies applying for government tenders. I don't know enough about that. Buy locally, probably a good thing. Make payment on government contracts within 7 days, probably a good thing as well. Boost investment in housing affordability in Melbourne. Repeal C270 to promote flexibility and employment growth. So I had to look at C270, Amendment C270, which is basically like it seems to be an apartment density cap in like the Hoddle Grid area and South Bank area. Basically saying like you can't have too many tall apartments next to each other. I know they're talking about flexibility and like employment growth. Like, come on, man. Do we really want the short term turnaround of coronavirus to mean that we have just like these shoebox apartments and that's all there is in the city? No. C270 is making sure that like there's not shade on public monuments and things like that. C270 is making sure that things like like the NGV isn't covered in apartment shade coming over from across the river and that sort of thing. Like, no, we don't want that. And using that to fix the coronavirus downturn is just crap. Allow purchases of new builds to defer payment of stamp duty, open up the home builder scheme to more Victorians by paying the grant up front on new builds, remove the cladding levy for any project that has 85% content. So, like, make it cheaper to build in Melbourne, basically. Immediately reinstate the Country Roads and Bridges program. Do a bunch of this stuff. Connecting regional Victoria is always a good idea. Always a good idea. Whether or not 10 million is enough, I have no. Deliver the Murray Basin Rail project. I don't know what that is, but like just do stuff in regional Victoria. Sweet. Cool. Kickstart Victorian tourism. I'm not going to read through all this. Investing in transport infrastructure. Here we go. This will be interesting. Yeah, there it is straight away. East-West Link. You've lost 2 elections on East-West Link. Just drop it. No one wants East-West Link, man. Just drop it, okay? You've lost twice on it. Calder Park Drive Upway, I don't know. Yep, do stuff. Cool. Rowville Rail? I don't know anything about that. Fast track development of the Melbourne Airport Rail project. See, again, Melbourne Airport Rail, Liberal Party opposition. I'd be almost certain that the Liberals opposed it. I don't know. Could be a $5 billion bargain, say state Liberals. Okay, maybe they're for it. Okay, so it looks like potentially the Liberals actually want a better one. So I knew that they were opposed to the Andrews plan. It seems they want like a different passage or something. I'm not really sure. Wait, a rail link to Melbourne might be built for as little as $5 billion. Isn't that literally? Isn't that literally what this says? That the federal government's going to pledge $5 billion? What the hell? Um, it blows out. Okay. No, I don't know. It seems it costs more than $5 billion. Let's close some of these tabs while we're at it too. Build bike paths, $200 million for roads. Eat Out for Victoria program. So that one is interesting. This was subsidized 50% of bills up to a maximum of $20 per person. Like, so first off, that's just weird. Like, no one spends less than $20 at a restaurant. That's really weird. But additionally, the Eat Out for England, Eat Out for Britain, Eat Out Scheme England deaths. Yeah, Eat Out to help out. Like, so the British government did like a very similar thing to that, and a bunch of people died from it. Like, what? Um, okay. So they don't know how many people died. Provides registered deaths. Please note we're not attributing any of the deaths. This merely reports number of deaths involving COVID-19 for the weeks mentioned. So I don't know what this means really, but like I'm pretty sure that that program was associated with a high like uh, transmission of coronavirus. May have caused 1/6 of the total COVID clusters over the summer. Like, Treasury rejects this. Of course they do. Anyway, just interesting that they put that on there. $50 million here. All right. That's all I'm going to do for now, rather than go into section 3, because there's a few more to come after that. So yeah, look, if we look at the first 2 points of their like coronavirus recovery stuff here, in brief summary, section 1 is like it's just standard Liberal stuff. No new taxes, bring back fracking, freeze like this sort of stuff. Oh, let's make Transurban, blah blah blah. Look, this is standard Liberal Party stuff. This is standard Liberal Party stuff that they're trying to sneak in under the guise of like coronavirus relief. A lot of this other stuff, however, is very non-Liberal Party things. Things like affordable childcare, things like freezing, like one-off concessions to like concession card holders, these sort of things. So look, in general, I'm on board with most of this. On board with like most of that. Yeah. In terms of rebuilding opportunity for local businesses, all this TAFE stuff, freaking sweet. So gold that they opposed free TAFE, and now like half of their plan for local businesses is to increase the amount of free TAFE that's offered, who has access to it, and so on. Look, things like returning international students, that's not in the Victorian government's control. The claim that successive Labor governments have cut manufacturing when there was a Liberal government there was 2 terms of Liberal government smack bang in the middle there. Not increasing payroll tax, probably a good thing. But like, ensure Victoria is getting the best representation in ongoing negotiations for the Australia-UK Free Trade Agreement. Like, let's not pretend that Dan Andrews isn't going to say that he's doing that. Let's not pretend that it's just. And then very like long-term problem solving, or let me rephrase that. Solutions to long-term problems are being thrown out in order to fix short-term problems. So we don't want a city that is so crammed and closed in together that you shoulder to shoulder, you can't have any air and expression. But they're using that as a solution to the very short-term crisis of coronavirus. So in general, I'm much less on board with their plans for small business. Anything to do with like East-West Link, for instance. I look at all this stuff so skeptically. The Calder Park Drive upgrade, like I don't even know what that is, but let's just very briefly have a look at that. And let's see if there is any opposition to this plan. Doesn't seem so on the face of it. But anyway, the point being that like as soon as you chuck in East-West Link, all of this other stuff is like tinted in a certain direction. The Eat Out for Victoria program, after the failure that like the increase the coronavirus spread from the same program being run in Britain, it doesn't seem sane to include that on your party platform. So the second part of this document, I'm much less so on board on. Anyway, thanks Alerty Vision for checking it out. Anyone watching this on YouTube, thanks for your time, and I'll go through the rest of the document another time. Thanks for watching.